All right. Welcome in, everyone. Kicking off another deep dive here.
Hmm.
Today, we're really getting into the nitty-gritty of impactful marketing campaigns. We've got this collection of examples, and they're fascinating. Fashion, liquor, cosmetics, things that people know. They've gone beyond just selling a product. They're almost like cultural moments, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think what we're going to try and do today is sort of distill what makes these campaigns tick. What's the secret sauce? We'll be looking at the storytelling, the consistency, how they tapped into culture, even how some of them just completely flipped the script. And most importantly, we want you to walk away with some real takeaways, things you can actually use to help grow your own business.
All right, so let's just jump right in. How about a name that practically defines a certain lifestyle? Ralph Lauren, right? They've just nailed this idea of selling a whole vision, not just clothes.
Oh, absolutely. And a big part of that is this consistency in how they portray a very specific lifestyle, especially in their print campaigns. They've been doing it for decades. Those equestrian scenes, the snowy landscapes, that very particular East Coast elegance. It's not about screaming slogans. It's about creating a visual world that just oozes that Ralph Lauren feeling.
And it's worked. I mean, it's become so ingrained in how we see American style.
Yeah.
And then you've got their involvement with the Olympics. That seems like such a strategic long game.
Yeah, it's brilliant, right? Being the official outfitter for the U.S. Olympic team, it's genius because they're tying themselves to this globally recognized positive event. Everyone's watching, and there's Ralph Lauren right there with Team USA. It creates this aura of success and aspiration that goes way beyond just the clothes themselves. And when the U.S. does well, which, let's be honest, is pretty often, Ralph Lauren gets to share in that victory, that feeling of national pride.
It's like they've got this primetime slot on the world stage. Year after year, they're reinforcing that brand connection. That kind of consistency must be worth a fortune in the long run.
It absolutely is. Even in today's world where everyone's attention is all over the place, those iconic Olympic moments, they go viral. People are talking about them, sharing them, and Ralph Lauren's right there in the middle of it all. It's interesting, though. This isn't just a big budget strategy. Smaller brands can play this game too. Take Bandit Running, for example.
Oh, yeah, the unsponsored project. I remember that. That was clever.
Yeah, Bandit, they're smaller in the running world, but they found their anchor event by focusing on these Olympic runners who didn't have big sponsorships, giving them unbranded gear, even sponsoring a couple who lost their deals. It's niche, but it connects them to that same Olympic spirit, that drive to achieve. Shows you don't need to be a huge corporation to leverage this kind of event.
Love that comparison. Okay, let's switch gears completely. Duolingo. You can't talk about their marketing without mentioning that little green owl, right?
Oh, the Duolingo owl. Yeah, he's everywhere. What they've done is really tap into the power of personality and in a way that you wouldn't expect from a language learning app. They treat their marketing like pure entertainment. Their head of storytelling actually calls it a writer room, like they're writing a sitcom. And the focus is on being funny.
A writer room for Duolingo. That's wild.
Right. But think about the results. That owl is a pop culture icon. It was at the Squid Games premiere. It's at Bad Bunny concerts. It's all over social media. I mean, this corporate mascot is acting like a celebrity. That's pretty impressive.
It really is. That green owl pops up in the craziest places. So if you're listening, thinking about your business, it's a good reminder that you can have fun with your marketing. It doesn't always have to be serious, right?
Yeah.
Make people laugh.
Absolutely. It's about thinking differently. What if you treated your brand, your mascot, your social media like characters in a story? How can you be so entertaining, so in tune with what's happening that people actually want to follow along? It's a different way of thinking about it.
All right, let's go from something fun and modern to a campaign that, well, it changed an entire industry. De Beers, Diamonds Are Forever. That's a legendary campaign, right? The impact is undeniable.
It is. This wasn't just selling diamonds. This was about creating a whole cultural belief system. They made diamonds the ultimate symbol of commitment, and crucially, they attached a price tag to it. That idea of spending 2 months' salary on an engagement ring, whether people actually followed it or not, it became the standard. That's price anchoring at its finest.
And that anchoring, both emotional and financial, it really held strong, even when lab-grown diamonds started to appear.
And that's the fascinating part. That decades-long campaign gave De Beers and the whole diamond industry a buffer when things started to change. They'd so effectively implanted this idea that a mined diamond was special, irreplaceable, even though lab-grown diamonds are basically the same, chemically, and way cheaper. It's about anchoring bias. The first thing you hear really sticks with you.
So basically that initial marketing blitz bought them time to adapt to the new reality.
Exactly. That high price point, the emotional weight they created, it was a shield. Even with a cheaper alternative popping up, people's perceptions didn't change overnight. And then their move. They launched their own lab-grown diamonds, but at a lower price. That just reinforced the anchoring, made it clear there was a difference in the minds of consumers.
So the lesson here, it's bigger than just your own marketing, right? It's about how if you're a big player, a leader in your industry, you can create campaigns that shape the whole playing field. You buy yourself time to adapt to changes down the line.
Exactly. It's like building a fortress around your brand. The story's so strong that it gives you breathing room when disruptions happen. If you know you need time to adjust, maybe years, a campaign like that can be that crucial time buyer.
Okay, let's talk about a brand that's known for really standing by its values. Patagonia. That Don't Buy This Jacket campaign on Black Friday. That was so bold, it was brilliant.
Oh, it was a gutsy move. The biggest shopping day of the year, and they're telling people not to buy their stuff unless they really need it. It was all about reuse, repair, and being sustainable. But it wasn't a one-off, it was a perfect example of them just living their values. Yeah. They've always been about environmental responsibility.
And they stick to those values. Remember when all those venture capital firms started using their vests as merch? And Patagonia just shut those programs down. They don't mess around.
They don't. They're consistent. They don't chase fads. And it's created this incredible loyalty with their customers, a deep trust. And you know what's amazing? That strong foundation is what allowed them to do something so unexpected. The launch of Patagonia Provisions.
Canned fish. Right. And other food products, yeah. Seems so out of left field at first. But when you think about their values, it makes sense.
Right. They launched this whole new thing decades after starting, and it worked. Because people trust them. They had the stores, they knew their audience. It shows you that when you're clear about who you are as a brand, it can open up these crazy opportunities, even letting you enter entirely new markets.
So if there's one thing to take away here, it's that being authentic matters. Not just saying you have values, but living them. You build a loyal following, and you never know what doors it might open down the line.
It's true. Knowing who you are and what you stand for becomes a marketing asset in itself. It helps you navigate changes and even enter new spaces with a huge advantage.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Something a little more, visually striking. Le Creuset, those colorful pots and pans. They've turned color into a marketing machine, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Le Creuset, they really understand how to use color. Look at their Pinterest, for example. It's like they're giving you a constant stream of kitchen inspiration, all these color combinations, styling ideas. They get that people take their time buying their stuff. It's an investment. So they keep you thinking about Le Creuset throughout that whole decision process.
Playing the long game, right.
Yeah.
They know it's not an impulse buy.
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole thing with the new colors every year, and they retire old ones. It's almost like an event in itself.
It is. New colors, gotta have them. Old ones are going away, gotta grab them before they're gone. They create excitement, a little bit of exclusivity, and that gets people talking. But the best part is the system they've built around this whole color cycle.
A system? How so?
Think about it. When Le Creuset announces new colors or which ones they're discontinuing, all the food bloggers, kitchenware sites, lifestyle magazines, they all jump on it. And a lot of them use affiliate links, so they make money when people click and buy. Le Creuset's basically created this framework where others are actually incentivized to market for them.
That's so clever. It's like building marketing right into the way the industry operates. So for anyone out there with products that are visually appealing, especially if they can be collected, this is a great model. Create that buzz, those multiple touch points throughout the year.
Exactly. It's about becoming part of the conversation, creating ripples that go way beyond what you're spending on your own marketing.
Okay, let's talk about some drinks. How about Absolute Vodka? That bottle, so iconic, it became like a blank canvas for all sorts of ideas.
Genius. Pure genius. They took a bottle and turned it into a billboard for anything and everything, showcasing places, celebrating artists, cultural moments. It was visually striking, worked on so many levels, and everyone instantly recognized it. It's one of the best branding strategies ever. You see that bottle, you know it's Absolute.
You mentioned that we don't see that campaign much these days, which seems like a missed opportunity. You had a really interesting take on how they could have taken that idea and made it work in the age of social media.
I mean, think about it. That bottle? So adaptable. Why not take it beyond print ads? Short videos, TikToks, those carousel things on Instagram. They could feature modern artists, showcase places in new ways, even play up the nostalgia factor, and that iconic bottle is always there. The idea is timeless. They just needed to evolve it for the digital world.
It's a lesson for any brand with a strong visual identity. Don't let it get stale. Find ways to reinterpret it for the digital age. Keep people engaged.
Exactly. The core was great. They just needed to find the right expression for it.
Speaking of iconic alcohol campaigns that kind of faded, there was Dos Equis and the most interesting man in the world. That guy was everywhere for a while.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do... Oh man, yeah, that was a huge hit. Dos Equis went from being just another beer to being the beer for a certain kind of person. He was so memorable, and he brought this humor and mystique to the brand.
It's like the character took on a life of its own almost. You said before that maybe the character actually became too big, that it overshadowed the beer itself.
That's the risk with character-driven campaigns. Sometimes people focus more on the persona than the product. And Dos Equis did end up retiring the campaign. Maybe it ran its course, or maybe they felt he was just stealing the show.
But you had an idea about how to revive that whole most interesting idea in a way that works for today's social media.
Well, think about it. You don't need to make up a character anymore. The internet is full of fascinating people doing amazing things. What if Dos Equis just found those people, showcased them, little glimpses into their lives, and maybe Dos Equis is their, part of the celebration? It'd be real, it would tap into the power of storytelling, and you could even use user-generated content.
That's a great point. Take advantage of the real world, those authentic stories that people are already sharing. Okay, moving on from beverages, let's talk about partnerships, specifically Kiehl's and Equinox. This seems like a match made in marketing heaven.
Oh, it was a classic win-win. Kiehl's, they've always been generous with their samples, and Equinox, they're all about health and wellness. It just fits.
And the key was that for a while, Kiehl's was the only skincare brand you'd find at Equinox. It was like a built-in product showcase for a very specific demographic.
Exactly, and it worked like a charm. People, especially men who might not have been actively looking for skincare products, were suddenly trying Kiehl's. And there's nothing like experiencing a product, especially if it works well, to build loyalty.
So Kiehl's got this amazing exposure to their target audience, right in the environment where it makes sense. And Equinox gets to align themselves with a premium brand. Everyone benefits.
Totally. It's a reminder that finding the right partner can be way more effective than traditional advertising. You create these real-world connections that lead to people actually trying your product and sticking with it.
Okay, last one. Let's look at a brand that completely revitalized itself by doing something they originally avoided. Lego, and the whole world of licensing intellectual property.
Lego, in the beginning, they were all about their own creations. They had their own characters, their own stories. In Ninjago, Bionicle, they did well. And they stayed away from bringing in outside stuff, like Star Wars or Marvel.
And then they made a big shift. And it seems like the timing was perfect. The whole world was getting more into fandoms, really identifying with specific movies and shows and games.
Yeah, they totally nailed the timing. As fandom culture exploded, Lego went all in on collaborations with these massive franchises. So now you've got Lego sets for everything. Fortnite, Batman, Harry Potter, Jurassic World, you name it.
They basically turned Lego from just a toy into a platform. They can take any popular IP and make it into Lego. It's not just toys anymore. It's movies, video games, theme park rides. It's everything.
Right. And what you can learn from this is that licensing can be a powerful tool no matter what size business you have. If your product or service has that appeal, think about teaming up with other brands, even entertainment properties. It's a way to reach new people who are already passionate about something.
Okay, one final example. A brand that seems to be using every trick in the book to shake up a pretty old school industry. Poppy, those modern sodas.
Poppy is an interesting case. They're going up against these giant soda companies, often with way less money for marketing, but they're doing everything right. They're hitting all the notes of modern marketing.
They're everywhere, it seems like. The founder is super active. They're doing collaborations with all these creators. They've got celebrities like Post Malone and Paris Hilton on board, and they're all over TikTok. They're doing it all.
They are. The founder's personal brand is a big part of it. They do creator partnerships, they get those big celebrity endorsements, and they make sure it all explodes on platforms like TikTok. And they're not forgetting about real-world stuff either. They're in stores, and they do those cool branded events.
It's like a classic underdog story happening right now in the soda aisle. Smart digital marketing, and they're riding this wave of people wanting healthier, trendier drinks.
Yeah, people are moving away from the old school sodas. Poppy saw that opening and went for it. They have a good product, and they're marketing it in a way that actually speaks to people today. It's a blueprint for disrupting an established industry. You understand the current landscape, you're authentic, and you execute across all those channels.
So wow, we covered a lot. From Ralph Lauren's timeless style to Duolingo's hilarious owl, from De Beers changing how we think about diamonds, to Poppy shaking up the soda world. There's so much to learn here. What are your big takeaways? What sparks some ideas for your own business?
It's not about copying these campaigns exactly. It's about the principles behind them, having a clear brand story and telling it consistently, making your marketing entertaining, connecting with people on an emotional level, finding the right partners, and being ready to adapt to how the world is changing.
So think about your business, your brand. What's your story? How can you make it resonate with people? How can you make it fun? Who could you partner with? Are you staying ahead of the curve? This deep dive, it's just the start. Go back, look at these examples, and really think about what they mean for you. What questions do they raise about your own marketing? What new possibilities do you see now?